our general manager responsible for registration and general electoral operations. I'm going to invite him to speak to you, and we will take it from there. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The National Results Operation Center, where we are sitting now, is still in full swing, even though, as you can see from the leaderboard, the progress we are making, we are slowly but surely coming to an end. The current level of capturing is sitting at 96.9% of all results. It's in the system, it's captured. There's no counting. I still hear on a regular basis in news reports that we are counting. I want to emphatically state there is no counting happening. Counting is complete. Currently, 62,161 of the result slips have been captured. 53,209 of those have been scanned into an image and thus available. And the completion rate is varied from province to province. In the Northern Cape, we're at 95.5%, 88% in the Eastern Cape, Western Cape, 83%, in Mpumalanga, 85.4%, and the Free State, 87%. In the rest of the provinces, it ranges between 60 and 80%. As previously indicated, the Commission remains committed to finalizing results expeditiously while taking care to ensure that all the necessary verifications are enforced. The number of completed municipalities now stand at 139 out of the 257. Now, I also find the need maybe to preempt some of the questions or obviate the need for some of the questions to explain the process to you again. Earlier, we had a national PLC, that is the National Political Party Liaison Committee meeting, and the political parties agreed with me that it is necessary that we inform or educate the media in terms of the process. We tend to be using terminology loosely and inconsistently, and as a result of that, we are misinforming the general public out there. To start off with, voting is done. Counting is done. All results have now been transcribed onto results slips, and all these result slips are at local offices. At the local office, they are required to check them for arithmetic accuracy. It is then captured once into our system. The results or the screen then goes blank. We capture it a second time. We call that double blind capturing, just to verify what we had captured the first time is correct. Once those numbers verify, the result is then confirmed. The result slip is scanned, that is the physical image is scanned and matched to that result. We have auditors at all of our capturing sites. We also have the National Audit Manager for the project sitting in the cross and monitoring that operation. These are independent auditors. It's not the internal audit function of the Electoral Commission. It's external independent auditors. The auditors would then verify that whatever was on the form is in fact what was captured in the system, and they would give it its tick. The auditor has its unique code to enter the result system, and nobody else knows that code. Once all of those controls are done, the result is cleared. And what you see behind you, when we declare a municipality, it means it has met all of those criteria. So, just to take you through the processes, as we have mentioned, 96.9, that's nearly 97% of all these result slips have been captured and they are in the system. The remaining 3.1% is focused primarily in KwaZulu-Natal, in Limpopo, and in Gauteng. We have, however, expediting Gauteng, which we should have done very soon, by providing additional capacity as far as the capturing phase is concerned. So the capturing phase should be done very soon. Then, as far as the auditors is concerned, we obviously cannot rush the auditors. The auditors have to do their work. It is essential that they do so independently without any pressure from the IEC. Are we late? No. Why do people think we are late? Because in the past we have set the bar very, very high. In terms of legislation, the results must be announced within 7 days. In fact, we can also approach the electoral court if we require more time. So we are not late. That narrative must be dispelled immediately. We are very much on track to meet the 7 days, and we are very much in track to meet the historic trend and the high level of performance that we have set ourselves. So thank you very much. I hope that this has been informative. It's very basic, requires perhaps a matric, maybe a little bit more, but I hope now that we will use exactly the same terminology, that we do not misinterpret and use technology loosely. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Granville. Before I open the floor for questions, this time I will even allow comments. May I please ask Granville to explain why it is that the leaderboard, as we call it, can remain reflecting the same figure for a while? Because what I have been picking up is that statements like the leaderboard has been showing the same figure for a long time, etc., which, by the way, is very common on this day in terms of the elections. But I just want Granville to just talk you through that so that you don't have to ask a question. Granville, I think maybe you should come back here so that you can project your voice as standing. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. The question, if I understand, you ask, why does it remain static for a long period? I just need to see which leaderboard we have up. Okay. As you can see, the leaderboard focuses on councils. So what you have on the board is the votes as it pertains to those municipalities where we have concluded. The ones that are in progress may not be there, and We also have maybe another process that I didn't explain to you, because it appears that from my original explanation, the assumption would be that everything that is captured is correct. If during the audit process, or if the members of the political parties bring something to our attention that maybe a result has been incorrectly recorded, then we will correct those. Now, what that means is that it's not just simply that somebody can go in and change the result. There is a controlled process involved. So the local office would have to request what is called an edit window. And that edit window must also have a reason, code, or an explanation to it. We have dedicated staff in the cross that will then assess the reason, open up an edit window, and the staff at the local office who requested this will then receive a notification via their cell phone. It's not advertised to the entire organization that the window is open. As an additional control measure, the window is open only for a specified time. Now, I must also add that there is a delay, because some of you may be following results on the website. There is a delay, a slight delay in the leaderboard and the website, and it's specifically to accommodate for those edits as and when they take place. Thank you.
Thank you, Granville. I'm going to open the floor. I am hoping, okay, no hoping, right. I've got a hand here, Natasha. I've got Slee over there, and I've got you over there. 3 hands that I see. Okay.
Thank you. Commissioner,
Please try and speak loudly so that we can all hear. Thank you.
Commissioner Masuku, can I pose this question to Mr. Granville Abrahams, because he's just addressed the issue of results slips. Mr. Abrahams, I don't know if this has come to the attention of the IEC or yourself, but I was told by this certain political party member that they've opened a case now against certain presiding officers in Bushbuckridge. So apparently yesterday, allegedly, they were found marking ballot papers and changing results slips in Bushbuckridge. It's also alleged that some ANC members had actually accompanied the presiding officers to collect the election results in a quantum. Secondly, a question coming from my colleague, Offenses Timo. He says ballot boxes with a voting district number that falls outside of Tshwane were found in Mamelodi yesterday afternoon. What actions will the IEC take following the discovery of such ballot papers in the area? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Slee, please.
Thank you, Dr. Slinda Lomasigane from ENCA. I understand from the statement you said that the completion rate in the rest of the provinces ranges between 6 and 80%. Can you give us a better picture as to which areas are still at around 6%? And yesterday we had heard from the CEO, Simon Mabulu, that the target was to hopefully release the results tomorrow. Are we still on track for that, even though you do have 7 days? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
It's Thando Maeko from Business Day. So some political parties have already begun announcing that they have won some municipalities and some wards before the IEC has announced the official results. Is that in line with the electoral code?
Okay. Thank you very much. There's a hand right at the back from an observer.
Okay, my name is Mpho. I was just checking the leading board where it says the leading party by voting district. But when you check the small boxes on the side, under the word Telkom, the colors, and then the name of the political party, I don't know whether it comes like this or it's just supposed to go numerically or alphabetically or as per the leading thing, just like this one.
Okay. Granville, please raise your voice and please answer from there. Vice Chairperson, can I please ask you to address the question about political parties announcing where they've won? Thank you. Remember to speak very loudly and project your voice.
Thank you, Dr. Masuku. Natasha, the issue in Bushbuck Ridge about the marking of the allegation of marking ballot papers, the Commission obviously welcomes the fact that the docket has been opened and would take a keen interest in the matter. And if there is any foul play, then obviously that needs to be meted out. But I also want to just add that on your second question about ballot boxes and what, I don't know what was with the ballot boxes and action that the Commission plans to undertake. This matter keeps on coming up every election, and it's important that we understand the processes. But first of all, once again, if there's foul play, then the law must take its course. But just to have an understanding of the process and also of the supposed evidence. Once everybody has cast their vote, the vote is counted at the voting station. Those counted votes, which would obviously be marked and stamped, are then sealed again in a ballot box for storage. In terms of the legislation, must be stored for up to 6 months. The election is then reduced to the result slip. That becomes the intrinsic value of the election. The ballot papers then becomes irrelevant, other than obviously to be there at the disposal of the Commission should they require to open it for whatever reason. Now, as part of our cleanup or rollback exercise, these ballot boxes and other material has to find their way into storage. Now, there's always competition. Do we focus on the results or do we focus on rolling back stuff to be stored? And I think that is maybe at times that this evidence that is found is where there is maybe a compromise. There should not be an either or, because these materials are all sensitive. Even though there is no value as far as affecting the election is concerned, a ballot that has already been cast, it is the perception that I think is more damaging. But I think if we understand the process, that we should also educate our people out there that this does not cause panic and hysteria. I have looked at the next question. I think it's a typo. I must say 60, 60s. It's not a 6. The rate of completion, 60 to 80% in the remaining provinces. Now, I also want to reiterate again, before we start quoting, completion means everything has been captured. It also means all those forms have been scanned and available to the media and the party. It also means that it has been audited. It meets all three of those criteria. Furthermore, it also means that if there are any exceptions that we have an algorithm for, which would alert us to a potential mistake, then If all of those criteria are met, then it's complete. So even though some may have 60%, 65%, it does not mean that the process in its entirety is 60%. In fact, I think one of these cases at 60%, the capturing is probably 80, 90%. So we just need to focus on that. Commissioner Love will comment on the results and the claiming of victory and whether it is a code of conduct offense. The leading party that we have up here, if you look at the leaderboard, as I see it here, there are two measures in terms of the first one being in terms of votes and support, which is expressed as a percentage. So the party at the top, just in terms of, shall we call it popularity, the popular vote is at the top and in that sequence. But then we also put some context to that and also give you an indication for those councils that are complete, that an indication as to how many councils, first of all, and secondly, whether there is outright control, and by control we mean 50% plus one of the seats. So that basically explains the leaderboard. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Love, please.
Thanks very much. I think that what is probably best with regard to the issue of the announcement on exit polls is just to quote the law so that we understand what the law says. It basically prohibits the publication of exit polls and states that during the prescribed voting hours for an election, no person may print, publish, or distribute the result of any exit poll taken in an election. And the reality is that because of all these control circumstances that we're talking about, doing something like that and declaring, if you like, a result that is not declared by the Commission means that many of those results may not have passed the kind of steady controls that are there. When we produce the results and we have the leaderboards that are behind us, we produce them, we receive them, we confirm them in the system following all of those controls, and they come to the Commission at the same time that they come to the media. So in some respects, what we as a Commission are saying to you is that as these results come through, with the certainty and the assurance that we want to give to the public, you will see them. And the idea that the media then will allow statements that are made without those kinds of assurances has the potential to give real confusion to our electorate in a way that then undermines their confidence in the idea that their vote has counted, their vote has actually been taken on board in the way in which that our democratic process intends it to be. So I suppose what we are saying is that for the most part, the kind of statements that are made are statements which are couched as being very definite opinions and so on. And clearly people will have their opinions, and some people might even say, this is our belief, okay? And that's our freedom of speech, and we would not in any way want to curtail that either. But I think what we're saying to the media and to the public through you and directly is to say it's important to see that exactly for what it is. It's opinion. And the reason it's opinion is because it hasn't gone through the safeguards that we think our electorate is owed. So I hope that that explains it, Commissioner.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Love. Commissioner Love, if you don't mind, I'd like to remind both the people that are sitting here, the people that are listening, the people that are online, that when the Commission launched this facility that is called the National Results Operations Center, we specifically asked nicely that contestants refrain from convening announcements of their victories in the National Results Operations Center. That this is continuing to happen, I think, is a reflection of just a little bit of chipping of a certain understanding amongst ourselves as the Commission and the contestants that we serve. And what it does is that it gives advantage to those that can convene and does not favor those that have not convened. It is a practice that we saw in 2019, and it is unfortunate that we are seeing it again. And I don't know, South Africa, whether we are going to continue being those kinds of people who prefer to be lawless and so on. So when it does happen, we let it happen because we do not want to be the excuse for a fracas, but it is something that we frown upon, and we hope people do not do it. It is not fair to do it in this space. So I ask you to please talk to yourselves, reflect. Do not announce your victories in the National Results Operations Center. And don't ask, what is the Commission going to do about it? Rather, please be self-restraining. At that point, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to close so that I avoid a dialogue. But I can see two hands very quickly, and I'd like to bring this to a close in about 2 minutes. There's Lukona over there, and Slindile, and Njanchi over there. I beg your pardon? Just 1, 2, 3, very quickly. Someone, oh, I beg your pardon. You're short.
Thanks, Dr. Masugu. Just a quick one. Lukona Mnguni, Power 98.7. Follow up on Natasha's question. Grenville indicated that the ballot boxes and papers really become for the disposal of the IEC. But the reality is that legislation requires that you keep them for 6 months for a reason, in case there may be a challenge and a need for a recount. And in wards where parties are actually winning by 3 votes, it becomes even much more important if that slip is being disputed. Therefore, one question, have you had a slip in this election that has been disputed? Secondly, what are you going to do to improve the securing of the ballot papers? It can't be that we accept that the 6 months provision in legislation simply is for the disposal of the IEC and not for the securing of the integrity of the elections.
Thank you very much, Lukona. Slee, over there.
Thank you, Doctor. I'm not sure if my question about whether the IEC is on schedule to announce tomorrow was answered. And also, I wanted to ask, since we've been hearing a lot of complaints from the political parties to the media, have any of them actually filed formal complaints with the IEC? And if they have, which parties and what are the complaints?
Thank you very much. Mr. Chauke is sitting right in front here.
Thank you. Njanji Chauke from the SABC News Channel. I just wanted to check what is the turnover in terms of spoiled ballots, because I think we're seeing a trend, like when I was watching on my channel this morning, I find that there are a lot of spoiled ballots. I also wanted to find out if you do classify these ballots in the sense that you'll be able to tell us this is as a result of a lack of voter education, and the other one is just this percentage is a sign of the maturity of our democracy, or is just people protesting? Is that information available, the percentage at the moment?
Okay, thank you very much. Sir, over there.
Thank you so much. Francis Luagamachate from Progressive Independent News Agency. It will really sound like a frog song, the Bushbuckridge issue. One, yesterday I asked, can you confirm that incident? You said you do not have that information. And today I've been trying to find out again throughout the day if you can confirm the incident in Bushbuckridge. And two, what will happen to the affected wards, or the particular wards, which is Ward 16. And the other one is, like right now, as we're speaking, there is a community protest actually against this issue that is happening on the ground. I have also shared with you, with the IEC communications, the pictures that emerged today through my investigations about the pictures actually of the slips that were also tampered with, the result slips that were also tampered with in that case. So please be specific in answering these questions, please.
Thank you very much. Slee, I'm not going to do this for you again, but I'll give it to you.
I just received a report that there were parties in the Western Cape Results Center causing a scene, saying they're demanding a recount. Is that even possible, and are you aware of it?
Okay. Panel, I'm going to start with you, Commissioner Love.
Thanks very much. Firstly, I think that Granville will add add content to questions about securing the ballot, and I think that it should absolutely not have been understood that the importance of securing the ballot is not understood by the Commission. I think he did mention that the reason that the ballot is secured is precisely so that if commissioners need to adjudicate or consider something, or if indeed there is any follow-up, that is possible to be done. So I think that that point was possibly not made as clearly as it could have been, but I think you're absolutely correct. There's a reason for it in the law, and the Commission takes that reason to heart. I think the issue that has been raised is that, as you will be aware, many of the premises that we use both for voting stations, but even at the local level for counting, are not, and then the storage facilities, are not premises that are permanent premises of the IEC. And so the management of that sometimes really has some difficulty. The second thing is that I think you also know that when it comes to some of the transportation of rollback, which is what we call it, some of that transportation has to be managed in circumstances which are not optimal, late at night, bad weather conditions, and so on and so forth. So the point that you make is understood, but I think what Granville was saying is that when we have been planning, sometimes we focus on this issue of the counting and the results, and the rollback sometimes suffers, which is not to say it's correct, but it's to say to you how that can happen. So we hope that that is well understood by you. I think the second thing is that in relation to objections in terms of the legislation, we have received 19 objections which are currently being processed. So the detail about whether or not different political parties or individual independent candidates and so on and so forth is a detail that we're not in a position to provide you with now, but certainly that is something that will form part of our report as time comes forward. And of course, just to indicate to you, some of the issues that are raised in the form of concerns, I don't want to elevate them to fully fledged Section 65 objections, are issues then that get clarified both in terms of the interactions between some of the political parties and those in the provinces. With regard to spoiled ballots, certainly the information will be available, but Granville will be able to give further detail as to when that kind of information will be able to be communicated to you in terms of the actual numbers. But I think that the question that was being asked partly also raises or asks, once we receive whatever the number is, what is the cause? And I think the issue of the cause sometimes is multiple, but certainly there can well be elements, both of a lack of education, but also a wish by voters to express something of a view that manifests discontent with the options that that voter has been presented with. It has been analyzed to some extent in the past. I think the numbers will speak, but I think it's not something at this stage it would be inappropriate to speculate on at this stage until we have that detail. And Granville will deal with the issues of recounts in the Western Cape as well. Thank you.
Granville?
Thank you, Commissioner Masuku. Now, I once again want to say on the first question on the ballot, I cannot agree with you more. And that's what I said, and that's what Commissioner Love just reaffirmed what I said. I'm in total agreement with you. Let's contextualize this, however, without being defensive. We have 23,148 voting stations. In terms of the rollback of ballot papers, we probably have on average 2 ballot boxes whereby we may have those ballot boxes and those voters' rolls, etc. in. So that would give you close to 50,000 boxes. It is absolutely no excuse that we fail to secure even one. But it's important, however, that we look at the bigger picture. When will we announce the results? We plan to have it done, or when will we be completed? We plan on having this done as soon as possible. That is the plan. One of the provinces where we have a little bit of a delay is in Limpopo. But we are making interventions to speed up things there. And here we're talking about challenges in terms of infrastructure, and this is what local government is all about. The challenges that we are confronted with as the IEC on election day and when it comes to voting and counting is not necessarily IEC challenges. It's challenges of local government, it is challenges of the state, it is everyday challenges. However, on election day, they become amplified, and the focus then becomes that it is IEC challenges. These challenges will be there tomorrow as well. They won't go away. So I hope that you'll also focus on them when the election is gone. Spoiled ballots, we can certainly make detail available for you. Currently, we are ever standing at 1.9%. And this is well within the range that we have experienced before. I obviously cannot analyze those ballots for you. I do not have them in front of me because they are in sealed ballot boxes. So I can't tell you whether the person wrote on the ballot, I refuse to vote because of service delivery protest, or whether he made his mark in 2 boxes, etc. Those ballots are sealed. We do, however, from time to time, do research as to why ballots are spoiled, and we can certainly, if we do it for this election, in a few months' time, we can certainly avail that to you if you are still interested. Just in general, when it comes to the allegations out there, I think we need to realize that if there are matters under criminal investigation, when the docket has been opened, it is not fair to ask the IEC what we are doing. The matter resides with the police. It is not for us. At the same time, if there is an objection, I don't think it is also proper for us to ask in public the Commission, what are you doing about it? The straightforward answer is the Commission is considering it. And once they have considered it, they will decide on it. But we cannot be confronted about objections in a media conference. That unfortunately, we are not able to do. With the recount, I think if we allowed everybody to demand a recount, we're going to sit here for a very, very long time. A recount, once again, if that be so, is within the domain of the Commission or a court of law. If those ballots have been sealed, we cannot simply just open it. There has to be a court order or a formal decision to open that. Also, in coming to this decision, there's got to be recounts. You can't just demand them. I did an election once at a university. We were assisting them as part of our social responsibility, and also in terms of democracy development. There was a party at this university, they demanded a recount. The rector called us in to come and give expert advice. We asked the student party, why are you demanding a recount? He said, because we didn't expect to lose. Now, certainly, we need to be, if there are good enough reasons, if there is an objection, first of all, then it will be considered, and those decisions will be reached. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you very much. Mseri, still want to say something?
Yes. Thank you, Commissioner. Let me deal with first a quick matter on the typography of spoiled ballots, what type of spoiled ballots we have. That we will not know until the ballot boxes are authorized for opening in 6 months' time. And that also depends on whether we conduct a research project on that. Previously, our research has confirmed that we are way below average in general as a country on spoiled ballots. That's a comparative study with other countries. The second matter I thought I would deal with, are we on course to conclude the results sometime tomorrow? Yes, we are still on course. If you note the kind of numbers and details Mr. Abrams gave us, we just short of about 6,000 results to conclude this tallying of results. And that's what we hope to conclude by the end of today. Secondly, there's a dependency on the objections that the Commission is still continuing to receive up until they conclude and decide on those objections. We will then know that we are definitely on course to release the final result as the Commission. Lastly, the matter of Bushbuck Ridge, to give you very direct answers. Yes, the matter is known to us. Secondly, the matter has a criminal case opened with the police, and therefore, let's allow that investigative process to continue with the police. Thirdly, your photographic material has been received. However, we need to authenticate that photographic material. We can't take you to be true and correct. As you know, all of us, that there's photoshopping, so we've got to investigate that and continue to work on it. Fourthly, our team in Mpumalanga is now focused on that matter, and all the processes to reconcile with that result so that they can conclude the result of Mpumalanga. Now, we can't go to further details on that matter because it is partly a criminal matter, and some of the activities we are involved in will enhance that process of whether the matter is criminal or not. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, colleagues. I just wanted to answer one question very directly before it rears its head tomorrow. Do we know about the matter in the Western Cape? Yes, we do. Thank you very much, colleagues. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for the questions. Just to say that this stage of the process, it's truly like watching paint dry. So wait through the process and keep waiting. Count 1 up to 10. Have a good afternoon, and we'll talk to you soon. Out.